Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Renunciation is the result of meticulously following the religious practices or any bona fide spiritual process. And this renunciation is the foundation of all happiness in life. Because people are not being trained in this science of renunciation, we see very few people happy. But it does not mean leaving all one's duties and going to jungle as is generally perceived. Arjuna practiced renunciation living in the midst of a very opulent life as a king, as a householder, but still he was the most perfect renunciant. How to practice this apparently incompatible situations, opulence and renunciation at the same time. This is a great art, and that is being explained by Lord Krishna in this chapter, Perfection of Renunciation. This session is dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our spiritual master and the founder and acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement. Let us start the final conclusive chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 18, the perfection of renunciation. Let us see verse number 1. Arjuna uvacha Sanyasasya mahabhaho Tattvam ichhami veditum Tyagasya cha rishikesha Prithak keshi nishudana. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyag, and of the renounced order of life, sannyas, O killer of the Keshi demon, Rishikesh. So this is very important to understand the purpose behind any activity. A person who is a king is supposed to enjoy life at retirement as people aspire for now. Let me earn nicely. When I retire, I will enjoy a very opulent, rich, comfortable life. But the Vedic culture is Pancha Shodham Vanam Vrajet. After 50 years, when you are at the peak of your career or opulence, you leave your house and you go to jungle. And this appears very, very strange. Why at this time, when a person might need support, one is going to get old, he is supposed to withdraw oneself from the social life and take shelter of forest or a temple? What is the purpose of this sannyas order? Why take so much hardship? And then even while one is engaged in the occupational duties, even when one is a householder, one is not supposed to enjoy more than 50% of one's wealth for one's maintenance or sense gratification. At least 50% should be used for serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead or for general charity if a person does not have knowledge about Supreme Personality of Godhead. But 50% minimum should be given up. So why so much stress is given on tyag, renunciation? You give up, and there is a renounced order of life. After 50 years, go to jungle, and after some time, give up everything. What is the purpose? So let us see how Lord Krishna replies. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sannyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarva Karma Phalatyagam Prahustyagam Vichakshana. The Supreme Lord said, to give up the results of all activities is called renunciation, tyag, by the wise. And that state is called the renounced order of life, sannyas, by the great learned men. So the point which is to be noted is, Krishna is not telling giving up activities is called renunciation. Krishna is telling to give up the results of all activities. That is called renunciation. Activity is not to be given up, which was Arjuna's misconception. Let's see how Krishna explains further. Tyajyam doshavat ityeke karma prahur manishinaha yagya dana tapah karma natyajyam iti chapare. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up, but there are yet other sages who maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. Nishchayam shinu me tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purushavyaghra trividha samprakirtitaha. O best of the Bharatas, hear from me now about renunciation, O tiger among men. There are 3 kinds of renunciation declared in the scriptures. Yagya dana tapah karma natyajyam karyameva tat yagyo danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. Acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity and penance purify even the great souls. So here Lord Krishna is giving his verdict. Lord Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyo vedant krit vedavide chaham. All the Vedas direct living entity towards me only. I am the objective of all knowledge. I am the creator of Vedanta. I am the perfect knower of the Vedic rules and regulations. So that is why Lord Krishna's verdict should be taken as final. Some people tell, no, you give up all activities, even stop charity, you stop tyag, you stop yajnas, sacrifices. Whereas other scholars, sages, they tell, no, these things should always be continued. So here Lord Krishna's verdict is, yajna, dana and tapa should never be given up. These 3 things purify even the great souls. So all our happiness in our life depends upon these 3 things. So all of us can note these 3 things very carefully and try to implement in our life on a daily basis. Yajna, dana and tapaha. Yajna means sacrifice, dana means charity and tapaha means austerity, voluntarily accepting discomforts in life. Human life should be based on foundation of these 3 principles, and then there is happiness. If we follow these principles, there is happiness in material life and in spiritual life as well. Etanyapi tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani me partha nishchitam matamuttamam. All these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. So these activities are performed for 2 benefits, material and spiritual. So Krishna is telling these activities should not be performed for any result. Sangam tyaktva phalani cha. One should abandon all attachment to the results because the results should be given up. Then it is yoga. If you want to enjoy the results, then it is bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment and yoga means communion with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So bhoga, material enjoyments, gives immediate happiness and long-term misery because you are trapped in this body of repeated birth and death. And yoga, communion with Supreme Personality of Godhead, gives us liberation, permanent life of happiness and enjoyment. If I am engaged in these activities, if I am doing yajna so that I can get elevation to heavenly planets, I can get opulence, wealth, then that is not right. If I am doing tapasya, austerity, so that I can get mystical powers, then that is not right. If I am doing charity, understanding that as per the laws of nature, all this wealth will come back to me many times over. If I give to qualified people, brahmanas and devotees, so I am doing charity, this should not be the purpose. The purpose should be to purify one's existence, to eliminate rajas and tamas from the body and keep pure sattva guna, shuddha sattva guna in the heart. So with this end, all these activities become spiritual. So activity should not be given up, it should be spiritualized by abandoning all attachment to the results. Niyatasya tu sannyasah karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagas tamasav prarikirtitaha. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If by illusion one gives up his prescribed duties, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Dukkham ityeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayatyajet sakritva rajasam tyagam naivatyaga phalam labhet. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear is said to be in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. Karyamityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagas satviko mataha. But he who performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is of the nature of goodness, O Arjuna. Giving up one's activities is not always glorious. So here Krishna describes three kinds of renunciation. In goodness, passion and ignorance, Sattvaguna, Rajaguna and Tamaguna. Sometimes a person may fear when people come in Krishna consciousness, they are new, they are understanding this philosophy, how materialistic results, opulences, recognition, relations, they don't satisfy the soul. So people tell, why bother so much about working in the office, factory, business? Let us give up and settle in Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, Mayapur, some holy place, or in or around a temple. And let us serve Krishna nicely, chant his name and worship him all day. But such renunciation, if the foundation is, oh, my activities are full of trouble, so I need to give up, then that is in the mode of passion. It leads to misery. It should not be done. Some people, they give up duties out of illusion. They do not know what is done, what is not to be done. Simply they give up. Such ignorance is not allowed. Renunciation is allowed only in the mode of goodness when it is done in perfect knowledge. So anybody who is working in factory very nicely and offering the results to Krishna, they are the best renunciants, as it will be explained now by Lord Krishna. So one should not give up the activities thinking it is troublesome or out of fear. Oh, I am dealing with so many materialists, I will get entangled in the laws of karma. No, that is not fact. If anybody is working in a factory only for the Krishna and is offering the results to Krishna, then such a person is not associating either with the factory or with the workers of the factory. Such a person is in constant association with Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna and his service. So such a person always feels the presence of Lord in all one's activities throughout the day. And such a person, even though he might not be wearing the dress of a sannyasi, but one can have the consciousness of a sannyasi, because one is not willing to enjoy the results but offer the results to Krishna. So all those hardships, they become tapasya in the service of Krishna. So this is very, very important point. One should not be willing to seek a comfortable life. A comfortable life has not brought any spiritual advancement. Tapasya is required. So one should not give up the duties out of fear, or I'll get materially attached, materially entangled. No attachment will come if I am always acting under the direction of the spiritual master for the satisfaction of Krishna and I am offering the results to Krishna. Such activity is very glorious and it is real renunciation. Nadveshti akushalam karma kushale nanushajjate tyagi sattva samavishto medhavi chinna sanshayaha. Those who are situated in the mode of goodness, who neither hate inauspicious work nor are attached to auspicious work, have no doubts about work. The typical example is Arjuna. When he was ordered to kill, even though killing is inauspicious activity, he did not hate it because that was the order of Krishna. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, following the instructions of one's father is very auspicious activity, but he was not attached to that auspicious activity. When father told do not worship Krishna, he left the auspicious activity of following father, which gives you a lot of material advantages and comforts. But he was not keeping such attachment, and he continued worshipping, glorifying Krishna. Because a devotee understands auspiciousness, inauspiciousness, ultimately it is designed to take a living entity to the lotus feet of Krishna. And if I am engaged in the service of Krishna, I should not worry about anything else. So thus a devotee has no doubt what work should be done, what should not be done, because he is only acting for the pleasure of Krishna. Nahi deha bhrita shakyam yaktum karmanya sheshataha yastu karma phalatyagi satyagitya vidhiyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. Therefore, it is said that he who renounces the fruits of action is one who has truly renounced. Yastu karma phalatyagi. Karma should not be renounced. Karma phalatyagi. The results of karma should be renounced. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmana phalam bhavat atyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. So one may ask a question here. Any activity that we do gives result that is either full of happiness or full of distress or mixed. It is desirable, undesirable, or mixed. Now, how is it possible that a person is acting? It is okay, one is giving up the results, but one is acting, still one is not bound to suffer the reaction. How one is able to escape this law of nature? So to answer, Lord Krishna explains the Sankhya philosophy, 5 factors of action. Panchayatani mahabhaho karanani nibodhame Sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividhascha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. O mighty armed Arjuna, learn from me of the 5 factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, the senses, the endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. Sharira vang manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchayate tasya hetavaha. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. So the current philosophy is you work very hard and you will attain all success. This is completely wrong, as explained by Lord Krishna here. Work or endeavor is called cheshta. It is one of the 5 factors in bringing about any action or success in any action. Which are these 5 factors? They are karta, karanam, adhishthanam, cheshta, and devam. What is karta? Karta means doer. 2 people are doing the activities, both have different skills and abilities, different output will come. Even though efforts are same and other situations are all the same. It depends upon karta, the doer. Second is karanam. Karanam means instrument. If you tell a soldier to fight with a broomstick, he will lose the fight. You have to give him good instrument, a nice gun. Or if a sportsman is there, a batsman is there, you give him a stump to bat with, he will not be able to do it. He might be the best batsman of the world. So proper instrument is also important. Third is adhishthanam, which means the place of action. You are very expert salesman. You have all the background technical knowledge as well. But if you are doing business, gold business in a poverty-stricken area, you will not get any profit. So choosing proper place of action is also important. Then of course, cheshta means endeavor. Nai suptasya singasya pravishanti mukhe mrigaha. Tiger doer is capable. It has got the ability to catch its prey. And the place of action is also right. He is in the jungle, so many animals are there who can be captured. And tiger has got nice instruments also. He has got nice teeth, canines. He has got very sharp claws by which he can hunt the animals. But if cheshta is not there, tiger thinks, let me sleep in my den, rabbit will come and enter in my mouth. That is not going to happen. So work is also one of the factors. That is called cheshta. But it does not mean let me keep on putting cheshta unlimitedly and I can attain whatever I want. No, because there is a fifth factor which is called providence or devam. It is the sanction of the super soul who is seated within one's heart. Not a blade of grass moves without the Lord's sanction. And Lord sanctions as per one's desire and what a person deserves as per one's karma. Because we are eternal. We are doing this karma activities for a very long time. If I am bound to suffer because of past actions, then how much ever hard I may work, I cannot escape that suffering. And if I have some enjoyment, that also is governed by my karma. I cannot get more enjoyment than that. This is called providence. One may work very hard, but if one is not destined to enjoy more, destiny will not allow. One may work very hard to come out of suffering, but if destiny does not allow us to come out of suffering, we have to suffer. Thus this devam, sanction of super soul, is most important and powerful factor. So Supreme Soul, seated in the heart, has got two functions, Anumanta and Upadrishta. So the Super Soul seated within the heart has got two functions, Upadrishta and Anumanta, witness and the sanctioner. But in the case of devotees, Lord Rishikesh, the master of senses, also acts as director of the senses. He takes charge of the devotee, controls the senses of the devotees. And because the devotee's mind and body act under perfect direction of Krishna, the devotee is not responsible to enjoy or suffer the resultant material reactions. Thus what he gets is spiritual reaction and he is aloof. Thus he is always in a liberated state. That is how, even though the devotee might be engaged in all kinds of material activities which apparently are materialistic, he or she is also going to office and they are earning money, this is the activity of a materialist. But because they are doing strictly under the direction of spiritual master, who is acting under direction of Krishna, they are completely free. Because I am not responsible. The doer has not decided to do this activity. The doer now becomes only an instrument. One will not praise or curse a pen for writing a wonderful piece of literature. The glories come to the writer and the criticism also comes to the writer. The pen is only instrument. Thus a devotee is not given punishment by the laws of nature if there is any inauspicious activity encountered in serving Krishna, nor does he have to take birth to enjoy so-called material happiness also. Because devotee acted simply as instrument. Thus this is the secret. When one acts under direction of Krishna, one is not enjoying the results, one is not responsible for the reaction. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yaha pashyatya krita buddhitman nasa pashyati durmatihi. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the five factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate Hatvapi sa imalokan nahanti na nibadhyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, is not the slayer, nor is he bound by his actions. Jnanam gyeyam parigyata trividha karma chodana karnam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the three factors which motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer comprise the threefold basis of action. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedataha prochyate guna sankhyane yathavat shrinutanyapi. In accordance with the three modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performers of action. Listen as I describe them. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajjnanam vidhi satvikam. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences, undivided in the divided, is knowledge in the mode of goodness. Prithakttvena tu yajjnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tajjnanam vidhi rajasam. That knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is knowledge in the mode of passion. Yattu kritsnavad ekasmin karye saktam mahaitukam atatvarthavad alpam cha tattamsam udahritam. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Lord Krishna explained the three modes of nature in the 14th chapter, and in 17th chapter Lord Krishna explained different types of worships done by different people who are under control of these three modes of nature. So one is expected to move from Tamogun, mode of ignorance, to Rajas, mode of passion, finally to Sattvaguna, mode of goodness, and transcend goodness to the mode of Shuddha Sattvaguna. On that platform, God is realized. One's original identity is realized, one's relationship with Lord is revealed. Now, to attain that platform, one has to very carefully understand all the shlokas nicely. One has got various deliberations, various kinds of knowledge. The knowledge should be in the mode of goodness. Although goodness is also not pure in this material world, it also holds a person back, but goodness is favorable for liberation. As long as a person is in college, one cannot take up a job. But the higher classes of college, higher semesters, the final semester makes a person most eligible to join a job. If one does not pass through lower semesters, one cannot, there is no possibility. So thus one is encouraged to go to final semester but not get stuck on that platform. In a similar fashion, one should try to come to mode of goodness but not get stuck on the goodness. Nevertheless, coming to goodness is very important, because from goodness only one can transcend to Shuddha Sattvaguna. So for our practice, Lord Krishna is describing here knowledge in the three modes. One should avoid the knowledge in Rajoguna and Tamoguna and practice knowledge in Sattvaguna. Similarly, Lord Krishna has already described renunciation. Krishna has described knowledge here. Now Krishna will describe different kinds of doers, different kinds of actions, different kinds of intelligence, different kinds of determination, all as per the three modes. So the intelligence, determination, action, doer All these things should be there in the Sattva Guna to understand, to have a situation which is favorable to understand Krishna as it is and thus attain perfection of life. So here, as Lord Krishna describes 3 kinds of knowledge to summarize, when a person is able to understand the same spiritual nature which is pervading everywhere, when one does not get illusioned by the external coverings, one does not think, oh, here is a dog, here is an elephant, this is a bad person, this is a good person. When one understands these are not the real natures, only one spiritual nature is all pervading, then such knowledge is in the mode of goodness. And when a person sees, oh, there are different identities, one identifies as per body, and one concocts various theories and philosophies. There are so many philosophers who philosophize about existence of soul, the purpose of creation, and there are contradictions. So on Sattva Guna, there is clarity. On the mode of passion, there is lot of contradiction. Person concocts various theories and philosophies, or they come to a conclusion that there is only one soul, one consciousness, which is all pervading, which has taken so many forms. This is also knowledge in the mode of passion. And knowledge in the mode of ignorance, when one simply thinks about making one's life comfortable, like most of the knowledge today, just have a luxurious, comfortable life, that's all. Such knowledge is in the mode of ignorance, takes one to the animal kingdom, very, very abominable species. Niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshatah kritam afala prepsuna karma yat tat satvikam uchyate. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive activities, is called action in the mode of goodness. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and which is enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. That is what people do. When action is done to enjoy one's senses and there is lot of effort involved. Under false ego, when people think I am this body and the bodily connections belong to me, all these people, they belong to me. He does not know we are just travelers who assembled for this life. We will separate, maybe never to meet again. But one thinks, oh, these are my people always, they will be with me. And the money which I am earning all belongs to me. And all this should be used not for God's service, should be used for my sense enjoyment. And let me work very hard for it. Such action is in the mode of passion. And as we have seen in the 14th chapter, what is the result of mode of passion? Anxiety and distress. So because most of the people are passionate, people are always in distress, people are always anxious. Mode of goodness means one acts just as a matter of duty without attachment to results because the results have to be given up. Now what is tamasic mode? That is discussed here. Anubandham kshayam hinsam anapekshya cha paurusham mohad arabhyate karma yat tat tamasamuchyate. And that action performed in ignorance and delusion without consideration of future bondage or consequences, which inflicts injury and is impractical, is said to be action in the mode of ignorance, harming others, killing animals simply for satisfying the tongue, mode of ignorance. A person cannot consider future bondage. I will have to take so many births and get killed in similar fashion. This is action in the mode of ignorance. So one does not need any external arrangement. This is science. Happiness is the result of this energy which is called Sattva Guna, mode of goodness. So one has to simply see that one's action is in mode of goodness, one is in mode of goodness, one's intelligence is in mode of goodness, one's determination is in mode of goodness, and renunciation also is in mode of goodness, then a person is happy. If any of these things, oh, I have given up everything, one assumes I'll be happy. No. If renunciation is in mode of passion, one will increase anxiety. So it is a great science. So we have to note carefully and perform all these things in goodness, Sattva-guna. Mukta sango naham vadi dhrityutsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. The worker who is free from all material attachments and false ego, who is enthusiastic and resolute and who is indifferent to success or failure, is a worker in the mode of goodness. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho hinsatmako shuchihi harsha shokanvitah karta rajasaf parikirtitaha. But that worker who is attached to the fruits of his labor and who passionately wants to enjoy them, who is greedy, envious and impure, and moved by happiness and distress, is a worker in the mode of passion. Ayukta prakritastabdhaha shatho naishkritiko lasaha vishadi dirga sutri cha karta tamasa uchyate. And that worker who is always engaged in work against the injunction of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating and expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is a worker in the mode of ignorance. So we can understand whether we are acting in ignorance, passion, or goodness. Buddhir bhedam dhriteschaiva gunatastrividham shrinu prochyamanam asheshena prithakvena dhananjaya. Now, O winner of wealth, please listen as I tell you in detail of three kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of nature. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha yaveti buddhissa partha satviki. O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, that understanding is established in the mode of goodness. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhissa partha rajasi. And that understanding which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and the irreligious, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, that imperfect understanding, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of passion. Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasa vrita sarvarthan viparitascha buddhissa partha tamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O Parth, is in the mode of ignorance. Dhrityayaya dharayate manav pranendriya kriyaah yogena vyabhicharinya dhritissa partha satviki. O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice and thus controls the mind, life and the acts of senses, is in the mode of goodness. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhritya dharayate arjuna prasangena phalankankshi dhritissa partha rajasi. And that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive result in religion economic development and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madameva cha na vimunchati durmedha dhritissa partha tamasi. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness and illusion, such unintelligent determination is in the mode of darkness. So just determination is not sufficient. One should be determined in the mode of goodness. Now very important, happiness is also in three modes. Sometimes we think, oh, let me just become happy. No, happiness also should be enjoyed in the mode of goodness to actually have real sustainable happiness. Sukham tvidanim trividham Shrinu me bharatarshabha abhyasadramate yatra dukhantam cha nigacchati yattadagre vishamiva pariname mritopamam tatsukham satvikam proktam atma buddhif prasadajam. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. When we have to follow the spiritual rules and regulations, it could be troublesome. First of all, getting up early in the morning, much before sunrise, and taking cold water bath, and reading the scriptures, and chanting, trying to focus on each and every word, every mantra for a long time, could be little troublesome. Eating certain kind of foodstuffs which are only offered to Krishna could be little troublesome. Offering one's money, one can think, oh, let me enjoy immediately, could be troublesome. So all these rules and regulations could be troublesome, and in the beginning may be just like poison. Oh, it is so troublesome, let me enjoy, mind will tell. But if a person tries to follow, the end result is nectar. And if a person is successfully able to execute, it opens the door to liberation, permanent happiness, and one begins to enjoy the spiritual happiness, end of all material distress. So such kind of sattvic happiness can be like poison in the beginning. So many rules and regulations can be suffocating at times. But nevertheless, we have to understand, even in ordinary course of activities, even if a person needs to earn money for a long time, 20-25 years, one has to work very hard. If that time one wants to enjoy, then future is very bleak and dark. So one needs to understand, I am following the instructions of God, even though it could be tough. No intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit sex could be tough, no gambling. It could be difficult to control my senses in the beginning, but let me follow. Because these are the instructions given by God. How one can suffer when one follows the God. More so when everyone who has been following this path, they are so happy and blissful, not at all concerned with any of the distresses of this world. So with this patience, we should try to follow this happiness, which can be poison in the beginning, but the end result is nectar. Vishayendriya sanyogat yattadagre mritopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukham rajasam smritam. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. When a young man and woman are attracted to each other, they feel like seeing each other, talking to each other, touching each other, and enjoying sexual pleasure. But the end result of such pleasure is so much of misery as we see in the world. There is separation, there is divorce, there is sorrow, there are so many suicides, depression, and whatnot. Sometimes even killings. This is the result of happiness enjoyed in the mode of passion. I think I will live happily ever after, and there is misery ever after. So one does not know this basic science. There are different kinds of happiness. Any kind of happiness which one gets by sense enjoyment, it appears like nectar in the beginning. Oh, this is so full of bliss. But the end result is poison. And what is happiness in the mode of ignorance? Let us see now. Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanam nidralasya pramadotham tattamasam udahritam. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. Let me sleep. Laziness. Why a person is lazy? He feels some enjoyment, some happiness in being lazy. But such happiness is illusory. When a person sleeps, wants to sleep for a long time, his problems are not solved. There is happiness neither in the beginning nor at the end. There is only illusion. For a person in mode of passion, there is some ephemeral happiness in the beginning, but for a tamasic person, ignorant person, there is no happiness anywhere. He lives in illusion. Natadasti prithivyam va divi deveshu va punaha sattvam prakriti jair muktam yadebhisyatribhir gunai. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from the three modes of material nature. Brahmana kshatriya visham shudranam cha parantapa karmani pravibhaktani swabhava prabhavair gunai. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras are distinguished by their qualities of work or chastiser of the enemy in accordance with the modes of nature. There is no being on this planet or higher planets anywhere in the universe who is freed from the control of three modes of nature. So to help a living entity to proceed towards mode of goodness and eventually surpass goodness to become liberated, the society has been divided into varnashramas. Just like we have schooling system, as per the capacity of the students, there are various classes, various standards, so that gradually they can become wise. Similarly, in order to bring the real wisdom of Supreme Personality of Godhead, wisdom can only come when a person is in Sattva-guna. This very nice classification of society is done, as Lord Krishna mentions here, as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Those people who are in goodness, they are meant to be doing the duties of Brahmana. So one's duties are decided as per the modes of nature. If one person is in Rajoguna, then the duties of Kshatriya. If one is having a mix of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, then the duties of a mercantile man, Vaishya. And if a person is in ignorance, then duties of Shudra. In this way, if they do their duties nicely, gradually they can proceed towards higher modes of nature. From Tamoguna to mix of Tamoguna and Rajoguna, then to Rajoguna, mix of Rajoguna, Sattvaguna, finally Sattvaguna, and they can eventually transcend. So what are these special qualifications which distinguish them is being explained here. Shamodamastapashaucham Shantir arjamavevacha Jnanam vijnanamastikyam Brahma karma swabhavajam. So this is not a caste system, very clearly we can see it is as per the qualities, qualifications. So what are the qualifications of a Brahmana? Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. First of all, Shamaha. The Brahmana should be peaceful, mind should be in control. Damaha, senses should be in control. Unless one can control one's mind and senses, one cannot be called a Brahmana. Simply by wearing a dress or having a shikha or sitting in a temple, exhibiting worship. And then tapaha, austerity, voluntarily having discomforts in our life. Brahmana cannot live in luxury. Shaucham, purity, tolerance, arjavam, honesty, jnanam, vijnanam, scientific understanding of God, scholarship, all these are the qualifications of Brahmana. Shauryam tejo dhritir daksham yuddhe chapya palayanam danam ishvara bhavascha kshatram karma swabhavajam. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity and leadership are the qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Krishi gorakshya vanijyam vaishya karma swabhavajam paricharyatmakam karma shudrasyapi swabhavajam. Farming, cattle raising and business are the qualities of work for the Vaishyas, and for the Shudras there is labor and service to others. Sve sve karmanyabhirataha samsiddhim labhate naraha swakarma niratas siddhim yatha vindati tatshrino. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. Now this great secret is being revealed by Lord Krishna. One need not wait for a gradual shift of duties. In ordinary Varnashrama system, Shudra, if he does the duties very nicely, gradually he can become Vaishya, he can become Kshatriya, and after a long time one may become Brahmana. But this very scientific procedure Lord Krishna describes, in which there is no need to change one's occupation and one can make one's life perfect. So the human society does not know, is it possible? Usually we think, oh, I have to change my job, change the way I work. So this job cannot make me rich. I have to become a businessman to become rich. And unless I become rich, I cannot actually be called a perfect man. So in this way, people are trying to do some activity which might not be favorable for them. The academicians are trying to have their own startups. They are no more interested in research. They want to make money. They think now the society thinks money is all in all. So everybody is there into one kind of activity. But Krishna is telling no. And sometimes it leads to frustration. Because my orientation is to do research. But in research there is no money. And there is a lot of confusion. So Krishna is telling no. Everyone can make one's life perfect. Whether a person is Shudra doing menial jobs, or a person is Brahmana, a priest, a philosopher, or one is a Kshatriya, administrator, politician. It does not matter where you are. Our minds and bodies are designed to work in a certain way. Let it work in that way. But if one follows the instructions of Lord Krishna as described here, one need not wait for gradual progression. In one's own situation, in the respective modes of nature, one can make one's life perfect. Perfect means attain freedom from birth, death, old age and disease, get full knowledge, happiness and eternal life. How this is possible, Krishna explains. Yatav pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, man can in the performance of his own duty attain perfection. So the secret is Swakarmana tam abhyarcha, worshipping the Supreme Lord by the results of one's activities. One can attain the Supreme, makes one's life perfect. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharma swanushthitat swabhavaniyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. It is better to engage in one's own occupation even though one may perform it imperfectly than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Prescribe duties according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Arjuna was trying to act as a Brahmana even though he was a Kshatriya. So here Krishna is telling one should never try to perform another's duty even though you may claim I will do it perfectly. No. These duties for respective people are designed in a scientific way for purification of the heart. So purification of heart is very important. Just like for different maladies, different diseases, there are different medicines. Similarly, to purify a person who is tamasic, different rules and regulations are mentioned. That is why different worships are recommended. Different Puranas are there. For tamasic people, there are tamasic Puranas. For Rajasic people, Rajasic Puranas. Sattvic people, Sattvic Puranas. For pure devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, different literatures are there meant for different category of people. All the books are important. But if a child who is going to kindergarten moves around with a book of algebra, oh, this is also ABC and 1, 2, 3. One can never learn even basic ABC or 1, 2, 3. Even though algebra is very nice, but it is not meant for a child of kindergarten. So for tamasic people, tamasic literatures are there. Worship of some ghastly forms are there, like Kali or Kal Bhairav and other things are mentioned. By doing these things, their tamasic tendencies will be satisfied, hearts will be purified, they will be able to elevate themselves to Rajoguna and Sattva-guna. So thus one should never try to perform another's duty, even though you can claim you can do it perfectly. No, stick to your duties very tightly. And what is the need of changing? When you can attain the same perfection if you worship the Supreme Personality by the results of the activities. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham api natyajet sarvarambha hi doshena dhuminagnir ivavritah. Every endeavor is covered by some sort of fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work which is born of his nature. O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Arjuna was giving the argument, I don't want to fight because it involves killing. Killing is faulty. Yes, killing is definitely faulty. But a Kshatriya will not be entangled by killing if he kills as per the duty. So one should not be worried about fault because Krishna is telling there is fault in every action. So thus there is fault everywhere in this world. Sometimes people want to find a proper situation. Let me try to find a business or job where there is no problem. Let me have a life partner where there is no problem. Let me live in a place where there is no problem. In this material world there is problem, there is fault everywhere. But if one chooses a place where one can have association of devotees, that place is perfect. It does not matter whatever the imperfections are. If a person chooses a life partner so that both can advance in the service of Krishna, all the imperfections lead one to perfection of life. So thus all the imperfections, they help a person attain perfection if service of Krishna is the aim. So one should not be worried by such faults, but just try to serve Krishna by the results of the activities. Asakta buddhis sarvatra jitatma vigatasprihaha naishkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasenadi gacchati. One can obtain the results of renunciation simply by self-control and by becoming unattached to the material things and disregarding material enjoyments. That is the highest perfectional stage of renunciation. Now Krishna has given his final conclusion. Arjuna, you want to leave your duty of fighting? Do not do that. The real renunciation is simply by self-control and by becoming unattached to material things and disregarding material enjoyments. So don't think, oh, I will kill my people and I will enjoy very nicely. No, do not think like that. Remain unattached to material enjoyment and simply try to be self-controlled. Let me kill this person because he is shouting on me. No. Whether Krishna wants this person to be killed, then I can kill them. For my personal interest, it does not matter. I am perfectly self-controlled. I am not agitated for my personal insult. I am not happy on my personal praise. My senses should be perfectly under control. When Krishna tells fight, I fight. When Krishna tells stop, I stop. So when a person is self-controlled, not willing to enjoy the material resources and willing to offer the results of activities to Krishna, then one can enjoy all the results of a person who is living in jungle. One need not go to jungle. Thus, living in the midst of householder life, in the midst of one's occupation, one's duties, one can get all the results of renunciation, and this is real renunciation. Siddhim prapto yatha brahma tathapnoti nibodhame samase naiva kaunteya nishtha jnanasya ya para. O son of Kunti, learn from me in brief how one can attain to the supreme perfectional stage Brahma by acting in the way which I shall now summarize. Usually people think I have to stop all activities, sit down and meditate, or read the Vedas and contemplate to attain Brahma stage, to understand I am not the body and enjoy spiritual bliss. Same bliss can be attained living in a house of concrete by seeing the people who are materialists. Same happiness a person can always enjoy. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati. There will be no lamentation in life. That is called spiritual realization. There will be no hankering, I want this, I want that, because a person would be full of satisfaction. So this is a great secret. Nobody has got it. No president, no prime minister, no celebrity. Nobody has attained this state. And Krishna is telling you can attain this stage by doing your duty. You can be a street cleaner, you can be a sweeper, you can be a baker, you can be an administrator, you can be a fighter, you can be a teacher, you can be a student. You can attain that state beyond all lamentation and hankering. How one can attain that? That is called Brahma stage. How one can become Brahma realized? Krishna explains. Please hear carefully. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha shabdadin vishayanstyakva ragadveshau vyudasya cha vivikta sevi lagbhashi yatva kaya manasaha dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritaha ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham parigraham vimuchya nirmamashanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little and who controls the body and the tongue, is always in trance and is detached, who is without false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and who does not accept material things, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Brahma bhutah prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. The Lord Krishna had described in the 4th chapter, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatpataha. In the 9th verse, Krishna explained in 4th chapter, my birth and my activities are transcendental, divyam. One who understands it, he becomes freed from this repeated birth and death. But Krishna did not explain who will be able to understand. A yogi may think I can understand, an Ashtanga yogi, a Raj yogi can think I can understand, a Jnani can think I can understand by reading the Vedas, or a Karmi can think I can understand. Here Krishna has told, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yascha asmi tatvata. As it is, scientific knowledge of Krishna, only a devotee can understand. And who can attain devotional service? Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. When a person attains Brahma realization. What is Brahma realization? We saw these details. When a person's mind and senses are fully under control, one eats very little, he remains with the devotees, he does not intimately mix with the materialists. In this way, when the mind and senses are controlled, one is completely detached from all material desires. That is called Brahma Bhuta stage. When we reach that stage, there is no lamentation hankering in life. Then, Mad Bhakti Labhate Param, one attains devotion to Krishna. When a person attains devotion to Krishna, spontaneous attraction, when automatically one desires to serve Krishna, just like one likes to serve one's family members or pets. There is some attachment, spontaneous attachment. When a person spontaneously wants to think of Krishna always and serve Krishna, that is called Parabhakti. And only when such Parabhakti is awakened in the heart, one can understand Krishna. And when one understands Krishna, Vishate tad anantaram. Vishate means enters. Anantaram means the world of which there is no cessation, eternal world, there is no destruction. There is permanence over there. So there is no anxiety, no death, no old age, no disease. There is no need to worry. Oh, I am having good health now, but health may go away. I am having wealth now, wealth may go away. No. We are having all opulence in life. Everything we simply have forgotten. And we have stuck in these bodies in this material world. So when one understands Krishna, Vishate tad anantaram, one regains, restarts one's spiritual life. Sarva karmanyapi sada kurvano madvyapashrayaha mat prasadadavapnoti shashvatam padamavyayam. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. Shashvatam padam. Again Krishna has mentioned Shashvad. Pad. There is a position which is eternal. There is no loss of happiness. There is no loss of knowledge. There is no loss of strength. There is no loss of opulence. Shashvadam, permanent position of happiness, life and knowledge. That a person attains, a devotee attains by my mercy, my grace. Although one is engaged in all kinds of activities. So Arjuna, do not leave your activity of fighting to attain the end of liberation. You will attain the stage of liberation, permanent liberation, life on the Vaikuntha planets by my mercy, my grace. But this position can be attained only by the devotees. Bhaktya, Krishna has mentioned. So there should be no doubt that anybody apart from Bhakta, an Ashtanga yogi, a Dhyan yogi, a Karma yogi or a Jnana yogi can attain that position. It is not possible. That position is reserved only for Bhakta, as Krishna has mentioned here. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya macchitta satatam bhava. In all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So here Krishna is telling, Chetasa, by intelligence, sarva karmani mai sanyasa. Give up your activities unto me, work under my protection. My protection means strictly execute what I tell you to do. Then you will be protected by me, because I am responsible for all your actions. Laws of nature will not touch you. I will save you from material energy. For this, Mai sanyasya, all the activity should be given up unto me. Just you should act under my direction. Mat paraha, and I should be the ultimate goal of all the actions. Buddhi yogam upashritya, Lord Krishna mentioned in 2nd chapter Buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means acting in consciousness of Krishna. That Krishna has engaged me in this duty, and the results of this work should be given to Krishna. He is supreme proprietor. This is called Buddhi yoga. So take shelter of Buddhi yoga and work in this consciousness. And then Macchitta Satatam Bhava. While you are doing this work, one should always think of Krishna, that this duty has been given to me by Krishna. So one should work for Krishna, strictly under the direction of Krishna. One may ask, how can I have direction of Krishna? Arjuna was fortunate. No, that is why spiritual master is given. And the spiritual master also sets up an institution. So strictly following the instructions of spiritual master, all the institutions set up by the spiritual master, it means strictly following the instructions of Krishna. Just like if one is strictly following the instructions of king, the soldier follows his immediate commander. That means following the instruction of the king. So following Krishna means it does not matter if one is not able to talk to Krishna directly. If one is able to satisfy one's immediate spiritual authority, then that is obeying the instructions of Krishna. This is called Mai Sanyasya, doing all the activities strictly as per directions of Krishna. In this way, a person becomes Brahma Bhuta. This is a great secret. Anyway, we are giving up the results of activity. We are giving up the results of activity now, either for our personal enjoyment or for the enjoyment of family members or some pets that we keep around us or some philanthropy. So yes, it is necessary to keep the body and soul together, but all the money should not be spent on such frivolous enjoyment. Body and soul should be kept together, but at least half of one's wealth, if it is spent for Krishna, then such a mode of action elevates one to the stage of Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, to the stage of liberation. This is a great secret. And on the stage of liberation, person is always joyful, full of bliss. Macchitta sarva durgani mat prasada tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran nashroshyasi vinangshyasi. Now Krishna is giving a great guarantee which nobody can give. What is that guarantee? We all have various impediments, troubles in life. Nobody can tell you, follow me and all troubles you can pass. A chartered accountant can tell, financial troubles I will help you to sail through. I will try, sometimes they also fail. Lawyer may help us to sail through some legal struggles, although there is no perfect guarantee. A doctor can help us sail through physical struggles, psychiatrist mental struggles. But nobody can tell you, follow me and I will sail you through all the struggles that Krishna is telling. And what secret Krishna is telling here? Macchittaha. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So great promise, great guarantee and great warning is also given. Krishna is telling Macchittaha, if you become conscious of me. Sarva Durgani, Krishna is not telling Alpa Durgani, some Durgani. No, Sarva Durgani. All the obstacles you can pass if you simply become conscious of me. Becoming conscious of Krishna means becoming conscious of Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's signs, Krishna's position. And in this way, when a person is always knowing one's eternal relationship with Krishna, always thinking of Krishna, trying to satisfy Krishna, then all the obstacles of conditional life are passed by Krishna's grace. And if one does not listen to God, one does not follow user manual, these wonderful instructions, then Krishna is telling Vinangshyasi, you will be lost, you will be destroyed. Just like in this world, there are so many laws. If a person does not take help of a lawyer, one will be lost in setting up his business. If a person does not take help, advice of a doctor, one cannot cure himself. So many diseases, problems, maladies are there. So just like we consult a doctor, we consult a lawyer, in order to become overall happy in our life, one should consult Krishna or his bona fide representative, a pure devotee spiritual master. And then when we become conscious of this, Krishna consciousness is the result of all the Vedic knowledge. If we become conscious of Krishna, we can cross over all the Durgani, all the obstacles of life. And if we are not conscious of Krishna, then we are lost. Yadahankaram ashritya nayotsya iti manyase mithyaisha vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshyati. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. So Krishna told, your nature is a fighter. If you do not fight now, later, material nature will engage you in fight. But that will not be under my direction, that will lead to bondage. Swabhavajena kaunteya nibaddhasvena karmana kartum nechhasi anmohat karishyasya vashopitat. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishthati Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. So Krishna tells this body is yantra, this body is a machine made of mayaya, illusory energy which makes you feel that you are this machine. And we cannot control this machine. So many actions are going on. The food that we eat, how it transforms into energy, we do not know. Any damage in the body is there, it is already healed. How does it happen? We do not know. Reproduction, how does it happen? We do not know. Body temperature, how is it being maintained? We do not know. One cell is like a city. One cell creates another cell. City is creating another city before destruction. How it happens, we do not know. Mystically, this body is acting. All this is happening because of the presence of Paramatma, Ishvara, the Supreme Controller who is seated in the heart. As per our desires, He is a loving Father. He is guiding us. Okay, you want to become the richest person of the planet? He guides us. Now you do yajna, you do tapasya, you do sacrifice. And in this way, you will be able to become rich in next life or whenever it is possible. And then in next life, Krishna tells, now you desired to become rich. Now in this life also you continue this activity. In this way, He is always guiding us like a father. He gives instructions through His representative, or in Bhagavad Gita, what kind of happiness he should aspire for. But still, if we insist for wrong happiness, Krishna guides. He is so loving and kind. So Brahmayan sarva bhutani, living entities wanting among various species. And Krishna from the heart is guiding. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. O scion of Bharat, surrender unto Him utterly. By His grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Iti te jnanamakhyatam guhyad guhyataram maya vimrishyetad asheshena yatechasi tatha kuru. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So Krishna has told, the Supreme Lord is seated in the heart and He is giving all the good counsel, but we keep on rejecting. Krishna begs the living entity from conscience. One's conscience do not indulge in sinful activities. But when one neglects the voice of Krishna in the form of good counsel, conscience, one falls into nefarious activities, sinful activities, and creates suffering. So one should listen to Krishna in the heart. The same instructions Krishna comes, incarnates here millennium after millennium. So Krishna is telling one should surrender unto the Lord of the heart. In this way you will be happy. And if one doesn't listen to Krishna, then Vinakshasi, one is destroyed. But still here Krishna is telling, I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on it fully and then whatever you wish you do. Krishna always gives the freedom. I have told you what is right, what is wrong, what is happiness in mode of goodness. Initially it will be poisonous. Later it will lead to great happiness. Sense enjoyment. Initially it will be nectar. Later it will make your life poison. Otherwise you can choose to remain in illusion, intoxicated or sleepy or lazy. Krishna describes very carefully all these things, what will lead you to happiness. But still, yatechasi, ultimately it is your desire. So some people tell, why Vedas are so dogmatic? No, it is not dogmatic. Freedom is given. There is nothing imposed. And further, it is not blind faith that a person has to resort to. Krishna is using the word, please note, Vimrishya etat asheshena. Vimrishya means think about it, not think and decide immediately. Asheshena, completely deliberate upon it. Think completely about it, whatever we have discussed, and then whatever you wish you do. So thus, the Vedic knowledge is not dogma, it is not forceful, but if a person takes advantage, one is benefited eternally. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha Shrinu me paramam vachaha Ishtosi me dridamiti Tato vakshyami te hitam. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you the most confidential part of knowledge. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. So knowledge that I am different from the body, aham brahmasmi, it is confidential. This Krishna shared first. If you give up the results of your activities, you will attain this liberated platform, Brahma Bhuta stage. I am not the body, you will realize. Then, higher than that is knowledge that God is present in my heart as Super Soul, always directing me, giving instructions. That is more confidential knowledge. Now Krishna is giving most confidential knowledge, Sarva Guhya Tamam Bhuyaha. There is no greater secret than this knowledge. Krishna has explained about acting without attachment, about cultivating knowledge, about pious and impious activities, about various forms of yoga. Now Krishna is giving topmost knowledge, which Krishna explained in the 9th chapter at the end. Now again Krishna is repeating the same verse. So every verse of Bhagavad Gita is very important, but the most confidential knowledge is so important because it is the crux of entire Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has repeated it twice. Now Krishna is telling, please hear carefully, Sarva Guhyatamam. Understanding I am not the body is confidential. God is seated in the heart is more confidential, but this is most confidential. What is this knowledge? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me, offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is the most important knowledge. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. This is the only way. This is the crux. Please try to understand. We have gone to school, taken so much hardship, thinking that if I get money, I'll be happy in my life. This is wrong. Why? It is very simple to understand. This world is following pattern. There are designs everywhere. As we just discussed the functionings of the body, so many species of life, food chain, ecosystem, every cell is wonderful city, self-replicating city. There is no limit to the design that we have in this world, from micro to macro. Behind design, there is designer, the supreme controller, because design cannot happen by chance. So one should ask, what is the purpose of this design? Every design, every product has got a use, every system has got an ultimate objective to be achieved. What is the result? I'll repeat. Every system has got certain objective to be achieved. What is the objective of this entire creation? And the design also necessitates a supreme designer. So everything is under his control. So if we are suffering, we are his children only. Why he will make us suffer? We are suffering because we have broken some laws of nature, and we cannot come out of that suffering by any amount of education, any amount of earning money, any amount of earning power, position, recognition in the society. Thus, the powerful people, if you are powerful, you can recognize, or at least our power is increased. We were small child, no power. But am I more happy by growing up, increasing my influence in society? The answer would be no, I am more miserable. So please try to realize this fact. Education, this thing, it is materialistic, hedonistic thought. Just like we have heard the story of Midas the king. He thought, if I have this power, whatever I touch turns gold, I'll be very happy. And then poor king, the fruit he's touching, any edibles he's touching, they're turning into gold. He cannot eat gold. Finally, his daughter came to embrace him. Daughter became gold. And then he thought, what have I desired in life? This is happening with all of us. In our limited sight, we are not knowing what is for our benefit. So please try to understand, we suffer because we break the laws of nature in the past. That's it and nothing else. Instruments could be very many. I could be suffering because of the bad governance, bad systems, could be because of my family members, could be because of my subordinates, could be because of my superiors, could be because of bad weather, diseases, anything XYZ. But nothing happens by chance, because everything is under control of God. This ignorance of God has put living entities, human beings, into so much of distress. And ignorance, we are trying to get relief of the instrument of suffering. The thief is trying to kill the policeman because the policeman arrests me every time. Will the thief be able to save himself from arrest? No, greater force will come, more punishment will be given. Thief thinks, let me kill the advocate. He argues against me and I have to go to jail. Let me kill the advocate. Let me give the judge. He writes sentence against me, imprisoned for certain time. He will be more implicated. In this way, without knowing the absolute truth, ultimate cause of my suffering, I try to remove the immediate cause and I become more implicated and simply increase my suffering. So everyone knows suffering is increasing in one's individual life and at the macro level, at the world level also. But nobody knows why it is happening. It is happening because we inquire relative truths. We don't know absolute truth, the ultimate cause of suffering, and that has to be removed. And the ultimate cause of suffering is forgetfulness of God. Our natural relationship is a very strong, loving service of God. When we forget that, ultimately we all need love in life. As one of the richest person of the planet has recently told, success is not measured by how much money you have. It is how much love you get in life. Everybody knows this. But love in this world does not satisfy. That is why half of the marriages fail on paper. Other half, they fail individually, they don't reveal in public. But it fails because Krishna has told this is happiness in the mode of passion. Immediately there is pleasure. For a couple of days or weeks or months or maybe a couple of years maximum, there is some pleasure. Then there is poison, there is embarrassment. Person wants to give away 50% of the wealth. Please leave me alone. And there is divorce and separation. Why? You were not able to live without this person. Why you want to get rid of him or her now? This is called mode of passion. Entire sense enjoyment means nectar in the beginning, poison in the end. Thus at the end, everybody, they are simply suffering. So please understand this carefully. We are spirit soul. We cannot be satisfied unless I revive my memory, revive my relationship with God. So when, just like in this world, young man and woman, when they are in love with each other, They don't eat, don't sleep, they run away from house, they don't care about parents, society. They are completely satisfied, but that love does not last in this material world, but it is eternal on spiritual platform. So we have to give up the envy of God, because when we forget this relationship with God, now senses demand pleasure. When there is no love between boy and girl, then they cannot give up their material comforts. Then you need entertainment, you need sense enjoyment, you need so many other things. Without love, you need all the demands of the senses to be fulfilled. So when a person forgets Krishna in life, then material senses become active and there is demand. And the senses are so dangerous, the more you satisfy, the more they hanker for. And then a person commits criminal activities. Person is not satisfied by legitimate wife and husband, they have extramarital affairs. Then they are not satisfied with the other relationships also. There is relationship within the family members, that is called incest. Then further a person degrades and starts enjoying such pleasures even with animals. In this way there is no limit. Then there are other so many crimes in the society. Senses are never satisfied. It is like trying to satisfy your itching propensity by scratching. The more you scratch, if a person is having eczema, that itching increases. This is the nature of senses. The more you give them pleasure, the more they ask for it. They are never satisfied, and a person's life becomes miserable. All this is happening because love of God is missing in one's life. So the senses demand, and then crime, break the crime, and then you suffer. And then you try to remove the immediate cause of suffering by creating more pap in your life. And then in this way, the suffering goes on increasing and one's life becomes miserable. So this science needs to be understood by us. Sarv dharman parityajya mamekam shranam vraja. Thus, because a person, now one may ask why a person has forgotten God. Why this relationship we forgot as spirit souls? Because we became envious. Father is kind, loving, but sometimes the son becomes envious. Oh, I don't want to be controlled by father. I want to go away. But then he realizes I cannot be happy without father. In this manner, the living entity sometimes becomes envious of God. Why I should serve you? Let me become God. God is very kind. He tells, okay, I will make you God of the material universe. You go there, you rule. You work hard, you do right karma, you become Brahma. You control entire universe. You become as powerful as me. You forget me. But then when a living entity realizes this material world is not satisfying me, even as Brahma, I need to revive my loving relationship with God, then one surrenders to God. But because there is envy, knowledge of God is not given. Why Krishna finally is giving this topmost secret? Simply think of me, man mana, bhav bhakto, and not officially. Think of me in loving devotional service. Worship me. Offer your respects to me just like the father teaches the son. Offer respects to me. In this way, loving relationship is established. But this cannot be given to living entity unless one becomes non-envious of God. Because we are envious, there is cheating process. Suppose the son has gone away from house. So father still sends the money to the child, but indirectly, because directly if the father sends, son will not accept because son is envious of father. I don't want any help from you. I don't want to live with you. So father will send help through some friend. Son is unemployed. Father will arrange from some other friend some employment for his son. Father only is arranging, but directly he does not tell. He does not reveal. So knowledge of God is not revealed unless a person becomes non-envious. So thus there are so many varieties of religion present on this planet when people are envious of God. How do we understand I am envious? When I have tendency to become God. Become God means richer than the richest, stronger than the strongest, defeat everybody in competition? No. So that is why first training of spiritual life is becoming servant of servant. Not try to become God, try to become servant, servant of everyone. In this way, when this servant attitude is cultivated, humility is cultivated. As Lord Jesus also told, kingdom of God is meant for meek and humble. When a person becomes meek and humble, I wanted to become God, that is the cause of my suffering here. Let me now try to become servant, practice this humility. Then knowledge of God is gradually revealed. And this final secret one is able to understand. Man mana bhav mat bhakto. So the conclusion of all Vedic knowledge is simple. One should mold one's life and activities in such a way that one is always able to think of God. And think not officially like we think of our boss, but bhav mat bhakto, in a devotional attitude, and offer respects to God, worship God because He is our Supreme Father. God does not need worship, but when we worship God, our heart becomes completely satisfied, completely full of bliss, because that is our relationship we have forgotten. So, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. One has to surrender unto Krishna. This is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And unfortunately, people do not teach that. So the secret has to be taken down in parampara. One has to completely surrender to Krishna. Some people ask, can I not be just a good man? Why following Bhagavad Gita is required? It is just like telling a smuggler or a don tells that I am a very nice person. I take care of my family. I do charity to society. I give away all my wealth, what I am earning. What is the need of following government? No, sir. If you do not follow government, then you could be very nicely taking care of all other responsibilities. You will be called criminal. Thus, if you do not follow God, we can be doing any other thing very nicely. We will be called criminal, and a criminal always suffers. So we have to become obedient. So sarva dharman parityajya. Unless we surrender unto Krishna, there is no question of being a good man. If we do not follow supreme authority, we remain a criminal and laws of nature continue to haunt us. And there is proof, anybody who has surrendered to Krishna, let the whole world persecute them, become against them, blaspheme them, they are always in bliss. Prahlad Maharaj, Mirabai, so many saints, Haridas Thakur, given poison. Poison is not acting, persecuted, badly whipped in public places, no impact. Completely in bliss, spiritual happiness. So human life is meant for this. So we have to try to read these instructions carefully, and surrender means completely follow all these instructions with great meticulous details. And then Krishna is telling, Sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. You are suffering from sinful actions. Mokshayishyami. I will free you from all the sinful actions. And when the sinful life is finished, the reactions are taken away. Where is misery in life? And Krishna is telling, do not worry, in surrenderance there is always doubt. Now what is Krishna's instruction? You chant my name always, by this you will be able to think of me. So one may wonder, if I give time to chanting always and other spiritual duties, I may have loss in my business or studies. Krishna is telling, no, it will not happen. Do not worry, there will not be any loss. Ma Shucha, you will come to me at the end. You will have success in spiritual life and success in material life also. You will have a very comfortable life. Krishna is taking care of animals also, everybody. Will he not take care of devotee? And Krishna has mentioned, Yoga Kshemam Vahami Aham Ananyas Chintayantu Mam. One who without deviation is thinking of me, always engaged in my service. I take care of him. I carry what one lacks and preserve what one has. So materially one is always protected by Krishna, and spiritually also one is successful. This is the way of becoming perfectly happy in life. One has to get rid of sinful actions. Please understand, we are eternal. We have done many wrongdoings in the past. Now nobody can stop that. One who has killed, nobody can stop him unless one surrenders to President. President can give relief. In a similar fashion, nobody can save us from distress unless we surrender to Krishna. Simply if we surrender to Krishna, then there is happiness in life. This is the conclusion, the most secret knowledge of all numerous lakhs and lakhs of verses which are mentioned in the Vedas. Krishna is now revealed to Arjuna. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shrushrushave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati. This confidential knowledge may not be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. See, Krishna is explaining here. So if a person is attached to sense enjoyment, one cannot understand this knowledge because one becomes mad. Sense enjoyment is intoxicating. Intoxicated person cannot understand truth. So one who is not austere, do not explain this knowledge to them, Krishna is telling. And one may be very austere, following all the rules and regulations of the Vedas, But if one is not, na bhaktaya kadachana, one is not a devotee, again simply austerities will not help one to have this knowledge. Again one can be official bhakta, but Krishna is telling, na cha shrushru shave vachyam, one is not inclined to render service. One again cannot understand Krishna. Official bhakta, I love Krishna, but I engage in serving other people here. No. So one should be austere, senses should be regulated, one should be a devotee, and one should practically engage in rendering service to Krishna. So to such people, knowledge of Bhagavad Gita can be given who are non-envious of him. So thus devotee has two duties. First, one has to engage people in devotional service, one has to make them devotees, teach them austerity, and then explain Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, there is no audience in the world, because hardly anybody is austere here now in today's world. Hardly anyone you will find devotees. Of course, in India there is some culture, but otherwise it is very, very difficult. So first of all, we have to make people austere. You have to make them devotees, engage in service of Krishna, and then give them knowledge of Krishna. Then they will be able to understand. Now again, one more very great secret is being revealed here. Krishna has given the topmost knowledge. Now how to attain that platform, that Krishna explains here, the final order, and that is Yaidam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabhidhasyati bhaktim mai param kritva mame vaishyatya sanshayaha. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priyakrittamaha bhavita nacha me tasmad anyaf priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So Krishna has explained now that entire process depends upon his mercy. Mad anugrahat, by my mercy you will be protected. By my mercy all the knowledge will be given to you. Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu sansara sagarat, I am the swift deliverer. So Bhakti Yoga is the topmost process, and the success of Bhakti Yoga depends upon the mercy of Krishna. So one cannot think of Krishna unless Krishna is merciful. One cannot get service of Krishna unless Krishna is merciful. One cannot surrender to Krishna unless Krishna is merciful. Unless Krishna reveals that he is Supreme Lord, unless he gives faith from the heart that Krishna is Supreme Lord, why a person will surrender? So upon whom that mercy will fall, that Krishna is giving here. Nacha tasmad manushyeshu kaschin me priyakrittama. Mercy will fall to a person who is dear to him, and there is no person more dear to Krishna than the one who preaches this knowledge to the devotees. So first we have to make the people devotees, and then we have to preach this knowledge. Such a preacher is most dear to Krishna. Such a preacher makes very quick advancement in spiritual life, and all spiritual knowledge is revealed, and such an advanced devotee never falls down, who is always thinking how to spread this knowledge to others. So thus I request all of you to try to realize the importance of these instructions, implement in our life, become devotees, and then spread this knowledge to others. Only when we actually start spreading this knowledge, we relish the nectar of spiritual life. There is very fast growth. Otherwise also we become dear to Krishna by doing other things for Krishna, but preaching is very, very special and very unique. For a preacher, Krishna is always present to help, to give protection, to give special enthusiasm and direct instruction. Krishna is telling, and in future also, Bhavita nachame tasman, in future nobody will be dearer to me than the preacher of this knowledge. Because people are suffering here only because of lack of ignorance. If any person takes lost son back to the father would be so much obliged. Nobody is dearer to him than this person who has brought the lost son back. So thus, everybody here in the material world are lost, forgotten children of Krishna. If this knowledge is given to them, they become very, very dear to him. And if anybody becomes dearer to God, then where is the trouble in life? Adhyeshyate chaya imam dharmyam samvadamavayoh jnana yagyena tenaham ishtasyamiti me matihi. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. Shraddhavananasuyascha shinuyadapi yo naraha sopi mukta shubhan lokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the planets where the pious dwell. Kachid etat shrutam partha tvaya ekagrena chetasa kachit ajnana sammohaha pranataste dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, have you heard this attentively with your mind? And are your illusions and ignorance now dispelled? Arjuna uvacha nashto moha smritir labdha tvat prasadan mayachyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory, and by your mercy I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instruction. Sanjaya uvacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanaha samvadam imam ashrausham adbhutam romaharshanam. Sanjaya said, Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. Vyasa prasada shrutavan etad guhyam maham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat kathayata swayam. By the mercy of Vyas, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Rajan samsmritya samvadam imam adbhutam keshavarjunayof punyam rishyami cha muhurmuhu. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. Tacha samsmritya rupam atyadbhutam hare vismayo me mahan rajan harshayami cha punah punaha. O king, when I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with even greater wonder, and I rejoice again and again. Yatra yogeshwara Krishno yatra partho dhanurdharaha tatra shrir vijayo bhutir dhruva nitir matir mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power and morality. That is my opinion. We want victory, we want opulence, we want supreme bliss. Sanjay, the perfect disciple of Vedvyas, Vedvyas is incarnation of Krishna, he is giving his verdict. And what is the verdict? Yatra yogeshwaro Krishna, yatra partha dhanurdhara. So we all want victory, opulence, success, happiness in our life. We approach so many gurus, we approach so many books of knowledge, but we fail to approach Bhagavad Gita and fail to add this one very important person, the Supreme Person Krishna in our life. So Sanjay, the disciple of Ved Vyas, original spiritual master, perfect student, is telling us, please have Krishna in your life. And along with that, one more thing is required. Krishna was present with everybody on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but one has to become qualified disciple like Arjuna. Arjuna was a soul who completely surrendered to Krishna. Karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you say, Krishna, I will execute it. So I have to become a soul completely surrendered to Krishna and add Krishna in our life. Either Krishna directly, if we are qualified, we can have him, or there are so many merciful incarnations of Krishna. Krishna's deity form is there in the temple. We can have a small form in our house. You can have a picture of Krishna. Form of Krishna is same as Krishna. We can chant the names of Krishna. Chanting name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. Taking shelter of spiritual master is same as taking shelter of Krishna. Or reading Bhagavad Gita is same as associating with Krishna. When we read Bhagavad Gita, it is Krishna's personal instructions that he is giving to us. The more we are qualified, the more Bhagavad Gita reveals it to us. In this way, we have to add simply Krishna to our life and become perfectly surrendered soul, and then we become qualified to take the instructions. And when there is combination of Krishna and Arjuna, perfect spiritual master, supreme personality of Godhead, and his devotee, his student, who is completely surrendered, there is no misery, there is eternal happiness. And once we leave this body, there is transference to eternal abode of Krishna, which is the aim of human form of life. So I request all of you, please try to understand this knowledge and try to spread this to others. Become very dear to Krishna, and when we become dear to God, who has audacity in the world to disturb us? Which power in the world can surpass the control of Krishna? If Krishna is pleased with us, there is always all happiness, joy and bliss. So thank you very much for being with us in this wonderful journey. More important is to apply these instructions. So please keep on hearing it over and over again. Simply by hearing, as we understood here, one gets rid of the sinful actions. It does not matter. We do not have strength to follow the instructions. Simply by hearing, we will get strength. It does not matter. We are not able to have proper understanding. Simply by hearing over and over again, proper understanding also will develop. This hearing is very, very powerful process. Hear the message of Bhagavad Gita, hear the holy name, and in this way, even though we may be very, very unqualified, entangled in all the bad habits, not able to follow even the basic rules and regulations, all strength will come automatically. Just keep on hearing, chanting always, Hare Krishna, Krishna